Think about the last meeting you attended. Maybe it was a conference, a boardroom meeting, a strategy session, or even a webinar. Now ask yourself a simple question. What actually changed because of that meeting? Did someone think differently? Did a decision move forward? Did a relationship deepen? Or did people simply sit in the room, listen politely, and leave exactly as they arrived? The truth is, the world spends billions of hours every year in meetings, and yet many of them fail to create real value. Not because the logistics was bad, not because the venue wasn't beautiful, but because the meeting itself was never truly designed. Designed for learning, designed for interaction, designed for human connection. And that's where today's conversation begins, because today's guest has spent more than 3 decades asking a powerful question. What if meetings were designed with the same intention as architecture? Now, what if every session had a purpose, every interaction a reason, and every gathering a measurable impact? Maarten Vanneste is a global meeting industry leader and a visionary with more than 30 years of experience. His certified meeting manager project became reality in 2006 with the founding of the Meeting Design Institute. And in 2007, he wrote Meeting Architecture, a manifesto, a book that became an industry bestseller and sparked a global movement around designing meetings for outcomes rather than logistics. Now, over the years, his work has continued to challenge how we think about gatherings, from hybrid formats explored in his book Multi-Hub Meetings to his newest book, The Perfect Stranger, which takes his thinking full circle. For his influence on the meetings industry, Maarten has received both the IMEX Academy Award and the MPI Rise Award for Industry Leadership. Today, we're going to explore a simple but powerful idea. What if the value of meetings could be doubled? Simply by changing how people interact. Maarten, welcome to Africa Event Connect.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me, Projeni.
Well, we're so glad that you could dial in with us. It's an absolute pleasure. We're having some rainy weather here in Johannesburg today, but we're glad that the sun is peeping through in Belgium.
Yes, I'm very happy. We have like 18 degrees Celsius and sunshine all week, so it's a beautiful week.
Well, I'm so glad that you can give us the time and stay indoors for a little bit with us.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, now, you've been in the industry, right, for more than 3 decades. What was the moment when you realized we're focusing on the wrong things?
Well, that was really a very moment in time. It's 1999, and I'm visiting EIBTM, the only big industry trade show at that time in Europe, EIBTM in Geneva. Mm-hmm. And I was going to the trade show of meetings and conferences. And I saw nothing about meetings and conferences. I saw venues and destinations. And that was like a shock to me. I thought, I'm going to the conference, meetings and events conference trade show, EIBTM. And it was like an awakening for me. So I remember it was a sunny day. After half a day of walking on the trade show floor, I went out and sat on the grass and started thinking. And 10 years later, the book Meeting Architecture was born. It took me 10 more years of thinking and asking questions before the book was actually ripe to be written.
Now, through those 10 years, I mean, that moment when you felt that something needed to change, and over those 10 years, that thinking obviously evolved. But through that thinking, what gap did you see in the meetings that others weren't addressing? You know, what gap was let me rephrase that. What gap did you see in meetings that others weren't addressing?
Yeah, I think the meetings industry was largely, and still is, and that's very, let's say, natural. Mm-hmm. focused on the foundational logistics for meetings. So it's really super important to have a good venue to make sure everybody is happy, because the food is right and the breaks are right and everything is well done. It's in the right place, in the right destination, etc. So all these things are crucially important, but this takes so much money and so much time that we forget to think about the meeting itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a meeting one day with a leader of a company, a pharmaceutical company, and we spent like almost 2 hours in the meeting thinking about objectives. Why do we have this meeting and what's the goal? And after that meeting, he said, we spent 2 hours, 2 hours, I would say. And he said, I've never spent so much time talking about the purpose of the meeting. So that shows you we have this natural to focus on the basic needs of humans rather than the intellectual, let's say, needs of things and the things we can accomplish in meetings.
Yeah. Now, I mean, it's almost 20 years ago, right, since you wrote that book. Almost. and it's become much more than a book, obviously, right? It's really sparked a global conversation about meeting design. So you talk about spending 2 hours thinking about what was the objectives of the meeting. Why are we trying to do this meeting? Do you think it is worth spending that amount of time? Isn't that quite simple for everybody?
Yeah. If you look at the possibilities that I discovered when I was writing this book, when I was thinking about why do we have meetings, there's in my view, there's three core areas of activity that we have at meetings, and they are learning, networking, and motivation. So that's three different areas, and they require different activities to support those areas. So if you look at those areas, and then you look at the participants in a meeting, which can be very diverse, and you look at, for each of those participant groups, you look at goals, what do they want to accomplish? Mm-hmm. Those are very complicated. So if you add all that up, you end up with probably 100 or maybe 200 different targets that you should aim for during that meeting to satisfy your audience, assuming that the audience is to be seen as the most important component of the meeting. So that's kind of what I analyzed in the book Meeting Architecture, step by step, asking those mental questions. Why are we having this meeting? What are we doing that we shouldn't be doing? What should we spend more time on? And so that's kind of what is laid out in the book Meeting Architecture.
Meeting Architecture. Now go back to those first three pillars that you spoke about in the book. You mentioned three things:
learning, networking, and motivation.
Learning, networking, and motivation, and those are key.
Yeah. Most people come to conferences for learning because there's speakers and there's topics that will be addressed. But when you really dig deeper, both organizers and participants will say that actually the networking is the most important one. And then the non-expressed needs that they have as well is motivation. Because many people in their work are maybe bored, or they don't have challenges enough, or they've been doing this for so long. And when you go to a conference or a meeting, you meet new people, you see new angles to approach your work, and you get energy from other people, you get energy from the speaker. So that motivational segment is less obvious, but is equally important. I think it's the multiplier almost of the learning and the networking in a meeting. So those three are crucial.
Yeah, that is so true. I mean, if you think about it, you go because you want to learn, you want to know more, you have this desire, right? And the networking, because you know you're going to meet new people, you know it's going to help you grow your business, you're going to learn new ideas. And both of those ultimately result in you being more inspired, more motivated, right? You leave on a high, and that just propels you forward into what you want to do next. And so that long-term effect and the aftermath of that meeting lasts for so long.
Absolutely, and that's why it's worth organizing meetings. I believe that nothing happens in the world when we don't meet other people.
Yeah.
So I'm using the example of I have this black and white picture somewhere, seen it from a meeting in Brussels, a scientific meeting in Brussels, and who's at the table? Einstein and Marie Curie. And so when I see that, it's a small group. It's like a group photo of the entire conference. It's like 20 people. And when I see those two in a room, I'm thinking, even Einstein would not have developed his theory and his thinking if he was not able to test and try and discuss with other people. So you go step by step on your path in your career, or in your development of your projects or your products or whatever it is, thanks to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are alone in your basement, you will not develop a lot of new and innovative theories or products. But if you meet other people and they challenge you, and you find motivation and you find energy and you ideas, and you are able to discuss this with other people, that's when everything happens. So I believe that if people would be isolated, development and progress in society would stop.
So 20 years later, do you think the industry truly embraced these design principles of this book?
I think there's a lot of people that have embraced them, and I think there's still a lot of work ahead of us. It is not an easy addition to your job if you're a meeting planner. You already have a lot of stress. It's one of the most stressful jobs in the world, I guess. You have these absolute deadlines. You have all these people coming over. You have all these things to organize and to make sure work and they are fine. But it's adding on top of that, the layer of meeting design is quite a challenge. So some people are more and more are choosing to focus more on the meeting design, and so maybe it's more like in most cases a teamwork, where you have some one person focusing on the content side of meetings, on the design of the learning, on the design of the networking, and somebody else is working on the logistics. So, but depending on who you are and what kind of organization you're in, you might be able to combine them, and it makes the job more exciting, I think, and more influential. If you do it.
Absolutely. I think it's far more interesting than simply operating in that traditional event management environment mode, where we just go on auto cue.
Yeah, that's a good one. So this is, I mean, it is a circular thing.
Yeah.
If it's an annual meeting, so you can develop some automatic system to design everything. So you design the meeting, you execute the meeting, you measure the results, you evaluate, and you read. And the second time you do this, it becomes less work. So that's a good way of looking at it. The first time might be quite a challenge, but the more you do it and on an annual base, you just have to tweak a few things to improve based on the measurements that you have done.
Absolutely. So let's move on now to the logistics versus the outcomes, right? Now, in many parts of the world, including Africa, we're exceptionally strong operationally. We know how to run events, we know how to execute, but designing for learning or behavior change and outcomes requires a completely different skill set, right? So what do you think the industry historically, or why do you think the industry historically prioritized logistics over impact?
I think there's a lot of reasons for that. Fundamentally, the meeting has to be right. I mean, it has to be in the right place. You have to have the right people. You have to have the right atmosphere. You have the right meals, the right activity, speakers. There's so much work and there's so much money involved in that. That even if people, and I heard this from a man that has thousands of employees in in association management and event management. And he said to me, yeah, maybe that is an issue, because we want to design the meeting, we want to have an influence on the content, we want to change the design. But at the end of the day, because of all the work and all the stress and all the pressure on the logistics, which are crucially important, this tends to fall off the table and be forgotten or be underserved in a way. So that is kind of the challenge that we have, and it's never going to go away, I think. So it's going to remain an effort to add some kind of effort to better meetings.
Yeah. And I suppose as well, like you're saying, it's very often a tick box. We need to have our annual meeting. We need to have our annual conference. We need to bring our people together. So what do you need? You need, like you're saying, we need the venue. We need the times. We need to make sure we have the transport sorted. So we get all the logistics done. We need 3 meals a day. We need pen and paper. Those are all the tick boxes. But to say we've done it, we need to do this. We need to find a venue that is suitable. We need to bring our people, and we need to bring them together. But then what happens at that meeting is what you're talking about. How do we design it so they walk away, and going back to your early 3 points so that they walk away having learned something, right? So that they are able to network and make their circle bigger, right? And that they leave inspired. So I love those 3 things, because going back to it avoids us it takes us out of that operational, mindset as well.
Yeah, so I think that if you look at it, literally look at it, you see the venue, you see the tables, you see the speakers, you see the destination, you see the meals. Those are all easy to recognize as quality, while what happens inside of the meeting, as far as learning and networking is concerned, is less visible. It looks like it's easier to get compliments from a good party or a good reception or a good coffee break or a good meal than it is to get compliments from changing the meeting design, because sometimes that even may provoke some or result in some resistance. Some people don't want to change anything in the way they want to sit down and listen to the speaker, and that's it. So if you're changing inside the meeting the way the scenario or the script from the session is done, then it's not only sometimes difficult for participants to see why we're doing this, but it's even harder for them to see the value of it. So I think that's maybe also part of the challenge between the logistics of a meeting and the results of the meeting.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about the science behind the meeting design, right? When you talk about meeting architecture, you're really talking about intentional design, right? So what disciplines influence your thinking on intentional design? Is it psychology, learning science, design thinking? What are those?
Yeah, it's all of the above and more, because we can learn so much from other industries and from the sciences. There's like a list in my book.
Mm-hmm.
I have it here. I was looking it up on page 118. It's like let's get some science involved, and there is many different kinds of sciences, even biology, all those sciences, and then next is industries. Let's get some industries involved. So the communication industry, HR, audiovisual, training industry, adult education, facilitation, virtual meetings, drama. All those.
Wow.
All those different disciplines are interesting. So the job to design a meeting requires or allows you to discover all these industries and learn and read them. So I think it's clear that group dynamics is fundamental to looking at meeting design, and there are many other sciences. So it's a whole scale. It's a wide scale. It's a wide list of disciplines that we can apply and use, which could seem like it becomes too complicated. But if we just apply a few of those things and maybe talk with some people, even in our own company, that have some background in psychology or design thinking, I mean, those can all help in designing better meetings.
Absolutely. Now, let's challenge us a little bit further, right? What if the client says, well, we just need people in the room?
Yeah, what do you say then?
Exactly.
I mean, it's important to have people, because without participants, there is no meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the only, if you look at it, it's really the only thing that you absolutely have to have. You have to have participants. You can have the best building, the best destination, the best meals, the best staging, the best audiovisual. If you have no participants, you have no meeting. You can have participants in a room and have no video, no audiovisual, no speakers, no nothing. Still will have a meeting. So you have to have those participants.
But
so those are crucial. But
yes, but
I mean, the numbers are important, especially if you're an association, you sell tickets.
Yeah.
More people means more money. So that's easy. If you're a corporate, it's obviously different because you will invite even the teams or the staff, and you bring those together, or you invite your clients, or you invite your suppliers. So there, obviously, it is a different story. But in both cases, you have to have participants. So that is true. But
Maarten, how do you balance the need to have participants and versus the outcomes that we want the participants to walk away with? How do you balance that? And how do you convince the client that the one is as important as the other?
Yeah, so in case of associations, I would say, think about how much money you're spending. Not only the money that you're literally spending, but also the money from that the participants are spending. They buy a ticket, they fly in, they book hotels, plus they're away from their office for 5 days to come to your conference. Some of these people are expensive, or have high wages. So count all of that, and you will see that you're actually spending on their behalf millions, in a way, of dollars or euros. And so, what are you doing in return? So that's a good way to approach associations. If you look at corporates, then the question is, why are you doing this meeting? You're bringing all these people together because they're important people, right? And so why are they important? What do they mean to you? What do you want from them? And so maybe we should think about designing the meeting so you get more of that, because that's why you bring them together, right? You don't bring them together to put some beds on pillows in hotels, or some heads on pillows in hotels, or to feed people in a strange or in a new city, or to make them fly. You don't organize the meeting for those things. Why do you organize the meeting? So the question is always, why do you organize this meeting? And then you will discover that there are reasons, and they can be designed so they can lead to higher and better results.
I love you take us back to this point, because that's what you started off initially with, talking about a client that you sat with for 2 hours to understand, why do you want to have this meeting? What do you want to achieve? And like you're saying, many of us just rush through that. It's like, yes, it's our annual awards. We need to bring everybody together. We need to hand out some awards. And yes, we need to have a few speakers. And that's it. And it's a tick box. But understanding the why helps you to deliver on the outcomes. And then I'm assuming design that meeting intentionally so that it delivers on those outcomes, right?
Absolutely. And if you look at this workbook, Meeting Architecture Process, it's 133 pages, and it's full of forms that you can fill out. And so you can actually make your own map, which is meeting meeting architecture process, but a map actually results in the exact things that you're going to do at the meeting to change the design to improve the results. So this could take, first time you do it for your conference, could take 2 days with a team of people.
Right.
That's, who is coming, what do we need to do for them, how do we do that? And then select, what is important, the most important things, because you can't do everything. And this helps, this is just an example of how you can spend 2 days in designing a meeting, not just 2 hours, but 2 days to come up with a few ideas that you can tweak and change your meeting design so that the results are more in line with your strategy or with your goals.
Now, for everybody that saw you lift that book up and thought with excitement, I'd love to get my hands on that. Where do we get our hands on that book?
Both the book Meeting Architecture and Multi-Hub Meetings on Amazon, and this one is, I'm afraid you have to talk to me.
Okay.
I have to print it. Yeah, I have. It's not published, but I'm happy to send it to people.
Ah, you holding that back, Maarten? You holding things back from us? No. No,
I want to share, but it's not. Realize I took a 5-year break after selling my company,
right?
And so I've been out of this for a long time. Now I'm reactivating it with the new book, and so this is now clear to me. I mean, especially looking at your reactions, I should put this on Amazon for
Definitely.
a low price. I don't think it's there.
Definitely.
The other ones are. Okay,
well,
I promise I'll do my best to get it on Amazon.
Please do. And we will share with all our listeners. We'll share the links with you as soon as that Maarten makes that go live, so you know exactly where to get that from. And obviously your earlier book as well, I think is still very relevant today. So we will share the links to both those books. Right, let's just move on now. Okay, so much exciting things to discuss. It just gets your head buzzing and thinking about the process and thinking about what we should spend time on and what we want to deliver rather than merely executing because it's a text box, right? So Maarten, before the pandemic, you had already begun exploring distributed and hybrid meeting formats through your book, Multi-Hub Meetings, right? Then COVID arrived and suddenly the whole world had to rethink how meetings happen. So how did that moment reshape your thinking about participation and interaction in these kinds of formats?
Yeah, so book Multi-Hub Meeting I think could be very interesting for Africa because their distances are sometimes big between cities, and this is kind of an in-between format where you have groups coming together in different places and connected. And so this is kind of full of tips and ideas and techniques to make those kind of meetings better meetings. We organized our own Fresh conference in 2017 as a multi-hub meeting. So we had 5 cities in Europe, and they were interconnected in video and sound. And we had like 40 people in each country sitting at 4, 5, 6 tables. Each table had a camera. Each table had a set of microphones. So, this is a format that is going to help. And this was written in February 2018 Fresh conference. And the second half of the book almost is entirely as a result from Fresh 17. So we took notes. People took notes thinking about multi-hub meetings and why they would work or what the objections were or the challenges. And so all of these notes are from the audience. So this is kind of a quarter of the book, roughly speaking, co-created by the audience of the Fresh Conference 2017, which was a conference in multi-hub meeting format about multi-hub meetings. So then the pandemic came, and we all know that changed a lot. I'm sure it did for you too, Projeni.
Yep.
Changed a lot of stuff. At least temporarily, and also still there's a of change from there. So that was the moment that this book obviously became, more important or different look at. And we went into online training for online meetings for most part of a year, and we did 3 shifts. We did Asia, Europe, and America in training. So those were very long days, and it was a profound change and a painful change in the meetings and events industry. But it also, I think, looking back now, that online meetings are a great tool, and everybody learned how to do them, and we still maybe we do them too much still. But it is an opening. It opens up new possibilities. Online meetings, because you can have the kind of meetings that were not possible before we had the thing to have online meetings, even big meetings with hundreds of participants. So that it opens up a new set of possibilities. But on the other hand, I think we all know deep down that real on-site meetings where participants meet each other are irreplaceable, and they create some kind of value that is impossible to create through online presence.
Yes. Now, tell me, Maarten, what did this period teach you about human interaction in digital environments? I mean, we all learned so much through this period, but what was your observations?
I think human interaction, when these meetings are well designed and well facilitated, they can have some good value in human interaction. But I was watching this video from a woman in a helicopter looking down on a wide, open, snowy landscape, and she saw a bunch of wolves chasing a deer in that snowy landscape, and she was describing how she was experiencing that and how she was feeling that and how she was, the emotions that went through her when she was watching that scene. And I was watching that scene too, but I was watching it even if it was live, I was watching it from a distance on a screen. The change is so profound. You have exactly the same image and exactly the same sound, and still emotionally it does not have the same effect. So even if it's live, but then in many cases things in not in time, and then it obviously becomes even less of an impact. It has less of an impact, but the changes are profound, and I think psychology and research, psychology and in sociology are advancing and demonstrating why that is such difference. So we just have to accept that it is, and that makes real meetings even more valuable than ever before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yes, it has brought about that convenience. It has given us the opportunity to maybe interact more with smaller meetings in between the live interactions. But overall, I think personally feel that and have seen that in-person meetings, you walk away with so much more learning and more networking and more inspiration, going back to what you said. So my question to you is, do you think people organize online digital meetings, and then we have organizing of real in-person meetings. Do you think the design thinking is different when we execute? Do you think we make more of an effort when we're organizing online meetings because we know that we have to work a little bit harder to get people to interact versus the thinking that goes into a physical meeting because we take it for granted that we just put people together in a room and they will interact immediately?
Yeah. Now you've used the word interact or interaction a few times in almost less than a minute, Projeni. So that's a very exciting word.
Yeah.
Interaction. And online, I mean, it can be terrible.
Yeah.
It's hard to be terrible in interaction options in a physical meeting, in an on-site meeting. In an online meeting, it's so easy to have no interaction at all. And just have presentations. And I think if that's what you do, you should stop doing it, and you should look for a way to have people interact, and there are ways, like in Zoom as well, there's a way to put people in small groups and let them talk to each other, so you get some new connections, and you have some possibility to share your knowledge and to learn from other participants. So I think online meeting is even more important to spend time on designing it so that it becomes more interactive.
Yeah.
By the way, I have a new word for you. I think you already feel it coming. Interactivation. So it's not in Microsoft's spelling at the moment. So it's not a real word. But interactivation is the verb of interaction.
I love that.
Making something more interactive, and I think that's what we have to do, especially with online meetings.
Interactivation. So it's the I'm thinking we're combining here interactive and activation. Activation. Interactivation.
Yeah. Interactivation. To interactivate it's a verb. So yeah, you can interactivate online meetings in an easy way, and interactivation also needs to be done on site as well as online.
Yeah.
On-site meetings too. I remember one of my first conferences that I was supporting in Antwerp in a conference center, and the organizer came to me. It was a medical conference, and they had 4 rooms, and we were walking from room to room, and the organizer said to me, "We need to make those meetings more interactive, but because people are falling asleep." So that is like 1984 or in 1985. Wow. And still today, we have a lot of work to do. And still today, people are saying, we need more interaction because these presentations are too boring or something.
Yeah.
So interactivation is what you have to do. And we'll talk more about this when we get to the new book.
Absolutely. And that's exactly where we've landed. Perfect timing, perfect link there. The Perfect Stranger, a full circle moment for you. Now, your newest book, The Perfect Stranger, I love it, seems to represent something of a full circle in your thinking, right? So you said that over time you realize that many people simply don't have the time, the resources, or the expertise to do complex meeting design. So you went back to the first principles. And what question did you start asking now that led to this new concept, the perfect stranger?
Yeah, so as we spoke about many things in this podcast already, science, other trees, the meeting architecture process, the time to spend on designing meetings. I realized after doing a couple of multiple day trainings on this meeting architecture process how complicated, complex, and serious this work is. And not everybody has the time, nor the resources, nor the support, nor the permission to spend time on all of this. So I found that a big challenge. When MPI brought return on into the industry, I think that was, what year was that? 2014 or something. I don't remember. Jack Phillips was introduced into the industry, and so measuring our return on investment, measuring ROI is foundational to my thinking as well. But I was wondering immediately, why are we trying to measure the results if we know that the lower levels of measuring, because the top measure is financial. So are people happy? Did they learn something, or did they meet new people? Are they doing something with that? Does that have an impact? What is the value of that impact? So those are the 5 levels of ROI, and we jumped immediately to the financial ROI, to the complete measurement of return on investment financially. While I was thinking, those lower levels, are people having a good time, and did they learn something or meet someone? Those are the levels where we have more impact. That's where we work. This is the meeting. Everything that happens after that is hard to measure. It's a little more complicated it is. You have to have permission, you have to have financial input to be able to measure the highest level. So I kept focusing on those lower levels because I know that's our world, that's where we live, that's where we work, and that's where we can change things. So it is always coming back to the same thing. We can work here, and we can think very hard and long and spend 2 hours or 2 days in designing what is happening at the meeting, but most people don't have the time. I'm just back from the last conference from MPI, European conference in Barcelona, and I was talking about this, and someone said, yeah, but we do this all the time. We have to do it in our corporation. This guy was working at HP, so a large technology company. They have to predict or design or show a design in order to get the budget. They have to promise a certain outcome to get the budget. So that's really good. Now we're talking about a big organizations, and obviously, they do this kind of stuff. But most people organizing smaller meetings for associations, smaller companies, organizations, churches, political parties, those people, they're like this, the assistants of the CEO, or they are an HR department, and they also do meetings. So that's, I think, the majority of meetings are small meetings. 80% of all meetings are small meetings. And so if you want to have an impact on the world, we have to address those meetings as well. And they will not be able to measure ROI because that's too complicated. They will not even be able to spend 2 hours to think about the participant analysis. So, yeah, that's kind of the challenge we have. And that's what made me think about what can we do that is simple and cheap and easy, that has the most impact. So the most effective tool, the most effective technique on the planet that we can apply to meetings. So effective means a lot of results for a little effort or little cost. And that's what kept me going, kept me thinking for the past 10 years again. And so I landed on this book, Perfect Stranger, which is not published yet. But I think I found the right subtitle for this book, and it is Cat Waves Interactivating Perfect Strangers. Cat Waves Interactivating Perfect Strangers. So that's now going to be on the cover of the book, and it summarizes the book in a way. Cat Waves,
yes,
in interactivating the perfect strangers. So that's a summary of the book, and it sounds like a big mystery, but if you read the book, you will find out that it's kind of indeed the summary of the entire book.
Let's go back to the name. Can I delve into the name a little bit more? Perfect Stranger.
Yeah.
I'm assuming a lot of things, but take us through that.
Yeah. I'm sure your mama told you, Projeni, to not talk to strangers.
Yes.
That's kind of the general approach to strangers. But I think if you're looking at the meeting industry, gatherings of people from 8 billion on the planet to 100,000 heart valve surgeons to people in a conference is kind of filtering down the quality of people around you, professional equality of strangers.
That is so true.
If you go to a conference of podcasters, for example, you will probably, if you go to a session in that conference, you'll probably not know anyone that is in the room, maybe a few. So those are the perfect strangers, because they are together in this room for this speaker with this topic for a purpose, because they need more information on it, because they're interested in this topic, because it's really important for them. So this is the session as a filter. The session is the filter that creates the perfect strangers. And so you have this unique moment in time and space where you have 50 people together in a room from the same profession with the same interest in the same topic. that is a unique moment.
Absolutely.
And not using that moment of those perfect strangers in this room is a crime. It is a crime not to do something with this unique group of participants. So if we can do something that optimizes value or the potential value above and beyond serendipity, above and beyond the lucky chance that two people are sitting together next to each other and actually start talking to each other, that is nice. That could lead to something really valuable. Those two people could start a project that leads to millions of lives saved on the planet if it's a medical conference. But not trying to optimize and maximize the outcome of such a group of perfect strangers is such a missed opportunity. I'm getting emotional and angry if I'm explaining that, because it's such a waste that we have. And we do this all the time. We bring those people together, we have a presentation, a Q&A, and then people walk out of the room. And that's really sad.
It is.
We can change that.
Absolutely.
We can change that.
I love that passion. I love the vision and making us realize that that's exactly what we're doing. Because sometimes, as event planners and event organizers, we just think we are ticking a box. Yeah, so being able to take advantage of this opportunity of bringing like-minded people together is so powerful. We forget that we have such a powerful platform that we create, allowing people to interact, allowing people to engage and make meaningful change in the world. We forget that impact that we have as event planners and event organizers beyond just operationally executing an event. That's what you're saying to us.
Yeah, so it is absolutely that. And so now if we are able to interactivate that group of participants, magic happens. Magic happens. And it's only one thing that needs to change. That will, and that's my claim in my book, that will double the value of that session. It will double the value of that presentation. Even if you have never measured the value of that presentation, I promise you it will double the value of that presentation or session. And some people, when I've done this 2-day training in South Africa, and some people say it's more than doubling. It's triple or even more. The value of a meeting, the value of a gathering, when you activate a group of perfect strangers.
And I suppose once we get our hand on Maarten's book, we would be able to certainly find out how we can get the tools to double the value of the meeting or a presentation, right? Are you going to leave us with one?
It's one tool.
One tool? Okay.
Yeah, it's one change. So it's cat waves. You have to make waves cat. And cat is the alternative for Q&A. So let's stop doing Q&A and let's bring in cats. Cats in the mice industry. That's a funny one, I think. But don't be afraid. It's not going to eat the mice. Cat is conversations about the topic.
Cat
That's
waves.
all it is.
Conversations about the topic. Cat waves.
Yeah.
Right.
The waves are, you give this, that's the script of the session. So instead of speaking for a long time, you speak for 10 minutes and you do 10 minutes of cats. 10 minutes of presentation, 10 minutes of cats. 10 minutes of presentation, 10 minutes of cats. And that's your hour. Now your speaker has spoken for half an hour, but he has much more impact on the participants. Because during conversations about the topic, participants will revisit the topic. They will repeat the message of the speaker. They will add their own context. They will learn from other people's. So what you're presenting as a speaker is becoming much more ingrained in the brain of the participants. So they learn more because of cats. They also sit in a small group or stand in a small group of 3, 4, 5 people. and they very quickly learn not only content from the other participants, but also who those other participants are. So a group of 5 perfect strangers, and you have 4 strangers that you're meeting very intensely on topic. So you know something about this topic, and you very quickly see those 4 other people speaking about that topic, and you very quickly decide who is or is not of interest to you to maybe have a coffee with later on during the coffee breaks.
I love
And so
that.
it's the
Simple.
best quality of networking because it's on topic, and because you talk about the topic, you very quickly intellectually scan the other participants and learn who they are and why they would be of value to you or would be of interest to you.
A simple technique that can help you double the value of the time spent being there.
Yeah. And if you have 10 sessions in a conference and all sessions have this as a standard operating procedure, they have cats. All sessions are waves of speaking, and then you have 10 times 4 people, 40 people that you have seen in a very intense way, and maybe you have 1 or 2 that you are staying in contact with, and maybe one of those 2 will lead to a project or to business or to a lasting friendship or to a lasting mentorship. So instead of leaving the networking to break, where I would go to you if I see you at the conference, because I know you.
Yep.
We talk more, which is good. We build our relationship, which is good. But in session, perfect strangers, starting new connections at such a high quality level, that is so powerful. It's only possible at conference. It's the superpower of conferences and meetings and gatherings.
I love that. Superpower. That makes it so, so impactful. And we all have, as event planners and event organizers, we all have the ability to tap in, but we are just not optimizing that. So that is just so impactful. And it's such a simple technique that we all have access to, but we're not making use of. We're not putting it into execution. We're not fully utilizing it. I can't wait to get my hands on this book now. This is like, I think it's just to be able to just dive deeper into the concept and learn everything that you've put there, and through all your experience and through all your research. I think it's going to be meaningful for everybody, but even more exciting for all our listeners in South Africa, particularly. I hear that you might be doing a roadshow sometime with Perfect Stranger in South Africa. Is that something we can look forward to, Maarten?
Well, it's kind of a dream at the moment. I know that there is enthusiasm. I know that we have support from some influential people in South Africa. I know that there's conversations happening, and so I have high hopes that I will be able to be there in Africa doing a roadshow. I would love to do it. I think it's crucially important, not just for Africa, but also for Europe and America and any place in the world. Crucially important that we start applying that technique. So I'm happy to give to the industry and make this an affordable, wide-reaching roadshow so that people can attend in an easy so without having to travel or without having to spend a lot of money. So I hope to be part of that and see that happen. And so I hope that you can play a role as well by promoting that idea. And I'm sure you have a vast network of academics, because I could also see this as a guest lecture in a university or in a school where they teach event management. I think we may need the support from the venues and the tourism organizations. Like we had a lot of support from the tourist authority through Noni Kubeka. She was instrumental in setting up the 2-day training in South Africa. So I look forward to working more with her. But you may know a lot of people in this industry, and maybe some of them are watching at the moment. So I hope they will reach out and support this together with MPI, because MPI would be hopefully still too early to say on board with this, and maybe we can help setting up an MPI in Africa as well as part of this roadshow.
Wonderful. Well, we are here to support you and we look forward to that. And I'm sure that everybody listening and watching would eagerly attend and love to explore the idea with you more. So you definitely have our support. But before we end, Maarten, I'd like to ask you one simple question. If every meeting organizer listening today could just do one thing differently tomorrow to improve their meetings, what would that be for you?
What do you think?
You can say it again if they haven't heard it already.
Conversations about the topic. It's so easy. It's so simple.
Yeah.
You know, optimally, you make waves of cats. You know, you do several, like 3 waves presenting, followed by conversations about the topic. And but if that's not possible, just doing 1 or 2 is already a huge change. Because Q&A, look at it. I mean, I have this way to measure networking, and it's if the percentage of participants on the bottom of the graph, so from 0 to 100, and then the of engagement, like low level engagement, for example, voting or typing some text, to high level of brain activation, like in conversation or even debate, it's the highest level of activation. So if you have a Q&A, you actually have 2 or 3 people that you activate. Everybody else is still listening. So those people are activated in a high level, but they only have a conversation with the speaker. So of the 100 people in the room, you only activate with Q&A, you only activate 3 people. Everybody else is still just audience, passive, listening. So Q&A is terrible. It's the worst thing you can do with the 5 minutes that you have there at the end of the conference. If you use those 5 minutes and make it 10 to allow people halfway the session maybe to talk to each other, then you are interactivating the entire group, because nobody will be silent. If you have groups of maximum 5, every person will talk. Every person will learn. Every person will be engaged. We'll be waking up again. We'll learn more. We'll meet new people, and we'll be engaged and have more energy because they can share something themselves. Even the introverts will speak in a group of 5 people.
Absolutely.
So, using the cat's conversations about the topic, small group conversations about the topic, not with the speaker. The speaker should walk away for 10 minutes and prepare for the next part of the presentation. But the participants, when they talk to each other, that's when things happen. So apply cats, apply conversations about the topic in all your sessions in the future. Make that your standard operating procedure for all your conferences. If you have that influence, I mean, you can change something. And I would say if a country would decide that they don't no longer sponsor any kind of conference if they don't have cats, that could change the GDP of the country.
That's amazing. That is truly, truly amazing, understanding the impact of that. You already got my brain thinking. I am busy with an event, an exhibition and conference that I'm organizing next week. And I know it's next week, but my mind is already playing as to the little brief that I'm going to give those moderators and speakers. Even if we introduce one wave within the time frame, depending on what that time frame is, and you could just interact with 4 people, right, or 5 people in that space, you're walking away with so much more, like you're saying.
Yeah. What you could do also, Projeni, is measure the networking from this year's event, and then apply CAP next year and measure again and see what the difference is. I think that would be much more valuable to me, and maybe also to you, and maybe also to the entire South African or African meetings industry that you reach, because that's going to prove the concept. So ask people at the end of your conference, How many new people did you meet? How many of them will you have ongoing connection with? And some other questions on the value and the quantity and the quality of networking. And do that again next year when you change all the presentations, if possible, to have a maximum number of waves of cats in interactivating those perfect strangers.
Wonderful. Thank you. I am truly, truly inspired. Thank you so much for challenging us to think, I think, just beyond the logistics, right? And towards this meaningful interaction. I so truly appreciate it. It will certainly change the way I do work in this industry. And I'm sure that it will impact everybody that's listening.
Thank you. That's a great conclusion.
Wonderful. And to everyone that's listening, if this conversation resonated with you, please keep your eye out for Maarten's new book, The Perfect Stranger. And if you don't have your hands on his previous book, The Architecture of Event Design, which make sure you get your hands on it. We can't wait for this one that's going to be coming out shortly. We'll let you know when that will be, as Maarten will inbox us on that one. And we hope that this helps you continue this journey of rethinking how we bring people together. CAT. Don't forget, CAT. It's very, very meaningful conversations about the topic that you and I are going to implement going forward. All thanks to Maarten, all the way from Belgium, and soon to be in Africa, we're hoping soon, with all our support. So thank you all for joining us. This is Africa Event Connect. Until next time.